Hey man, how's it going?
Pretty good, Gabe.
You having a good day?
Roots on the shadow, hanging out with you. I'm having a great day.
So I wanted to ask you a bit about the journey,
About the growings of Kopecky Family Band. Started out with, after a couple years, you had 2 EPs in 2010. What were some of the kind of triggers for you guys that helped launch? Because I know for me, it was some daily downloads, KXP.
Yeah.
What did you see as some of your big additions?
I agree with you. There's a lot of those moments where I don't know if we expected those things to be kind of conversation pieces for a lot of people.
Okay.
But they really turned into that. Like NPR fell in love with us really early on. Like they were the first ones to really patron us.
Okay.
That's actually how our whole team was built. Like everyone that now works with us found us from when Tiny Desk came about.
Yes.
And so we ran into Bob Boylan and Stephen Thompson at CMJ like in 2009 or 2010 or something like that.
Okay.
I think it was 2010. Right after we'd released Disaster. Which then we released of that proportions like 2 months later.
Right.
Like we recorded it in 3 days and put it out just digitally, to our fans. And so that's when Bob and them found out about it. I mean, it's really, that's when it started. Conversations were happening at that point, and people were interested, and we started getting a lot of fans, people who knew the songs just because they'd seen the sessions, and I don't know, that was kind of like the first real thing.
Yeah.
That's my mile marker at least. At South by Southwest, we played I think it was in 2011, we played a Pace party.
Okay.
And that was kind of like the next thing that really, if we're talking about our careers and mile markers, things like this was mile 1 and mile 2. Like mile 3 was definitely the Pace party we played, because we walked away, like they voted us one of the top 25 best live acts to know that year.
Okay.
Just because of that event. Like we kind of caught a lot of people off guard just because we were this band from Nashville that no one had really heard of. We were put on the smallest stage in the room, and we were too big for the stage, so we were spread all over the floor into the audience. So everyone was pretty much in the band while we were playing, and there was a really cool vibe about that, and I think that really communicated exactly what we believe in as a band, is that the fact that when music is something that transcends borders and languages and is a unique idea that people can agree on. Music is something that we connect with emotionally. Yes. And so to have that moment of where the Kopecky family was actually in the audience creating this family moment with all these people, I think that was when it really started to show, okay, this is what we're all about. Mm-hmm. And that's when the conversation started in that sense of like, this is a live band. Now we know their music from the Tiny Desk, but now it's like, this is a live band that we need to see. And the energy was there. So there was some cool things that really happened. And then after that, like kind of things just started coming together.
Yeah, 2011 was a lot of festivals.
Yeah,
right?
Bonnaroo and such like that. We did our first really big picture looks and some cool tours with Gomez and the Givers and Devakshka and a lot of cool things like that, running around the country. I graduated from college in 2011. So that May, I graduated, and then that summer we did our first real tour.
Okay.
So we've really only been doing this for 2 years, like full time, and it's been crazy. I'm 25. I'm 24 years old. I'm 25 in November. I'm a baby.
Nice. Nice.
But most of the people I know, they're like, "You like what, 28?" I'm like, "I'm 24." So it's pretty funny.
Can you describe any of the mile marker 2 things for you guys back in Nashville?
Nashville's interesting. I think it took us longer there than anywhere else to really show that what we were all about. Mm-hmm. We sold out our first Nashville show this year.
Okay.
And it was in January, and it was in February, and it was the first time. It was amazing because the year before that we'd only had 100 people at our show at the Mercer Lounge, and so like it really so much happened between 2011, 2012, 2013. To where there was a lot of conversations going on, and people were excited. And then the radio stuff kind of came in. Yeah. When our hometown started playing Heartbeat so much, we weren't just playing to like our cool hip, Belmont kids that we'd gone to school with, or they're not cool hip, they're the too cool and too hip kids, or playing to the Nashville, they're called the East Nashville kids. Okay. Which is kind of like the trendy part of town, up and coming. It's like this area, you know what I mean? So so like it was cool to like actually have real fans who like knew every word to every song, and then because they heard it on the radio or they found out about it in some other way, like we just talked about. But it's like And then it was just amazing with people I'd never seen before, and that was kind of like that was a big mile marker for me.
Right.
At home this year. So
Nice.
it takes some time, man. It's definitely
would that be like the mile marker 4?
Mile marker 4 at home. Yeah, definitely. I always home is like sanctuary to us. Nashville is just we don't really like playing there because it's so sacred to us, where we write and where we create and where we live and exist, and it's like to play there it kind of seems like inappropriate. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Weird. Some probably.
Yeah, it's like playing in your bathroom. You know what I mean? Like this, my bathroom is it's like my personal. It's where I can be. It's where I can be naked. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's my and then, so like being at home playing a show in Nashville is like being naked at home.
Gotcha.
And playing the show.
When did you first know that big things were happening?
I still don't know if big things are happening, but I always hope for it. I'm kind of like my wife thinks I'm to the death of me going to be optimistic. Like I guess. I'm the kind of guy who walks into a situation with a smile and want to figure it out, and so, but it's definitely it's a challenge to do that sometimes. But nice. I'm looking forward to so many things in my career that I keep getting surprised. Like we're doing Leno on Wednesday,
right?
And that to me was like I'm terrified of that. Like I guess that's a mile marker, but to me it's more of like I call my mom up and she's like, "You doing it?" You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
My brother-in-law texted me. He's like, "Are you really playing Leno?" And I was like, "Yeah." And it's like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, it's like that is like, I guess that's a crazy thing.
It is. It is.
I still keep getting caught off guard now. I'm surprised by it.
Playing 2 sets at XPN Festival, but still making time for the in-store record stores.
And freelance stores with like the people who really care. Like,
right.
That's what it's all about, man.
Yeah.
I mean.
Great autograph line at XPN yesterday.
It was insane. Like I mean, I'm like exactly what we just said is like I'm still caught off guard when there's more than one. When there's one person in line, and then when there's more than one person in line, you're like, what? So it's definitely I'm very happy that my parents trained me to be a person who respects gifts all the time, versus like just take it to the head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, it's there's a certain ownership with the in-store shows and meeting the fans flesh to flesh.
We started off playing as a band. We were playing house shows in basements. Mm-hmm. That's all we did. Like we would go. And I remember we didn't want people to leave, so there was this one time there was like a septic leak in a basement, and I was like saying, it's just someone spilled a case of beer. Don't go. We wanted you to see us play. Like we were like begging for people to hang out. You know? Yeah. So. I don't know. It's cool. Yeah. This is very much going to be a home kind of show. Like home in the basement, jamming,
nice.
With probably a PA system that can't handle what's about to happen. But it's going to be really fun.
Well, it handled J.D. McPherson last year, so.
You know what? If they can handle him, we're good.
Any advice for any of the up-and-comers going from the basement to the song of the day?
Dude, keep working hard. I think that's the biggest thing. Is that when we were literally in college, we would practice every weekend. And then that weekend practices turned into us touring every weekend and going to cities, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours away, and then making it back from classes on Monday morning, driving through the night. And that's what we did for, 2-3 years in college, just kind of figuring things out, putting in your 10,000 hours, so to speak, of playing in German bars overnight, like the Beatles did kind of thing, just really going out and figuring out what you sound like, what you want to sound like, how to play together. It takes a long time. I mean, people go like, oh, it's just amazing, so many things are happening so quickly, but like we literally spent so much time just working on it, like making sure it was perfect and the energy was there and the excitement was there. So I think that's the biggest thing. I don't think you need to write the best songs yet when you're starting out. You don't need to be the best musician yet. You are right then, you just need to work harder than everybody else. And then to keep working harder than everybody else, because at the end of the day, you're going to get better at singing. You're going to get better at playing music. You're going to get better at writing songs. It's like, it's amazing. Like I look at the songs that we used to write and they were all 6 minutes long, like epic ballads that would go on for forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
With the bridge to nowhere kind of stuff. And so now to like look back and go, wow, we've gone from that to having a 3-minute pop radio gem.
Right.
That goes, I want to call it a gem. It could be a, cubic zirconium if you want to call it that.
No, Heartbeat is a gem.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
It's that didn't come with us, getting a degree in songwriting.
Right.
It came with like figuring it out and knowing how each of his voices sounded, and like going from writing something that was just dark and long to just really being able to express yourself without being too complicated.
Right.
Songwriting can be really complicated really quickly, and so it takes time to really shorten it up and figure it out. My wife's really good at helping me because she says I use too many pronouns. No, sorry, that's correct. Incorrect. Because I don't use enough pronouns.
Oh.
When I used to write, I used to use the word like it and that and this a lot, and that's kind of vague. Not only is it kind of vague, it's actually extremely vague. So like when I'm still working on my songwriting, like I'm like, oh cool, I can be better at this, I can be better at that. So you're never done.
Never. Keep practicing.
It's just keep working, and you just have to work really hard. And if you hit a wall where hey, your alternator goes out in your band, and you're like, we're screwed, life's over. Go to YouTube, figure out how to replace it yourself.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like you figure out how to do things on your own. Like you don't rely on other people until the point where you have people around you that you really trust that you can rely on. So, I mean, nobody cares about it more than you do. That's the biggest thing.
And if somebody does care about it more than you do, you probably shouldn't be doing it.
Exactly. Perfect. I like that. That's a good way to say it. My favorite song from the album? I love recording Are You Listening? And it's still like one of those songs that I guess kind of can jam to.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like, to have a song that you wrote that you can jam to. It's funny. I like She Was the One, too. She Was the One is such a heavy rock song.
Okay.
Waves was one that kind of came out of nowhere. You know that tracking record? It's like the one that's like, kicking up waves.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just bad with the titles.
Oh, me too. I probably wouldn't remember them if I weren't in the band.
Yeah. It's today's different. I used to spend hours upon hours looking at the CD case and
right?
reading the notes, and
now it's playing on your iPod.
On my iPod.
Yeah. So. Waves was a song that was kind of a magical song to write because it was totally different when we started it, and her and I just had this that diving in the water moment where like this is what this is to be about, and that the whole record's kind of about this idea of like challenges. I don't want to say conflict because people take that in the wrong way.
Okay.
As a negative thing. I think conflict's a beautiful thing. I think conflict, it's like a refining fire that improves us as human beings.
Right.
But I'll use the word challenge just because I think it's a little more socially acceptable.
Okay.
Challenge is what the whole record's about. In every single song, there's a different aspect of having to face some kind of immense challenge and having to try to get over it.
Okay.
And Waves was very much so. It's like this idea of coming out for a breath of fresh air and realizing you fought all for so long.
Yeah.
And you're just fighting to see the light of the next day. And I don't know, it means a lot to me when I listen to it. It kind of really moved me.
Excellent.
So that's probably my favorite one.
Nice. I often wonder what bands are thinking when they're going through the lyrics in their head and they're playing their instruments, and if it's just a regurgitation or if there's a feeling back there. Last year, watching Carrie Ann Hurst from Shovels and Rope.
Yeah.
There's a great lyrics in Birmingham. It's not what you do, it's what you make. Yeah. And you could see this reflection that she was going through at the same time, just in front of this cool room. It was great.
No, there's a line in one of our songs. It's hope. It's to see the man that you've become and fall in love with what you have.
Excellent.
And as a married man, being on the road, and as a friend and a band member, and as a person who has responsibilities, I don't know, it's kind of one of those words, every time I say it, I'm like, it's like, that's heavy. Like to fall in love with what you have every single day and remember that everything's precious.
Yes.
A fan of ours said it to me one time. He goes, I love that line. And I hadn't thought about it like how he said it, and it like blew my mind how much he was was like,
it meant to him.
It made him cry, and then like he starts crying when he's telling me about it. I started crying. We were both crying about this line in the song.
It's fabulous.
I don't know. That's what music's about. Like bringing it back to what I said in the beginning. It's about this idea of crossing over borders and languages, and it speaks to emotions.
Yeah,
that we all connect with.
All right. Well, thank you for welcoming us to the family.
No, thank you, brother. I appreciate it.